The retro-looking Nikon ZF will be announced on September the 20th. But what does it cost, and does the price provide enough value to get you to consider the Nikon ZF as part of your kit? Stick around after this short break for all the details. But first, subscribe to this channel for a chance to win a Canon EOS R5. I'll be giving one away to one lucky subscriber once this channel reaches 100,000 subscribers. Anyone above the age of 18 with a valid mailing address is eligible. Additional terms and conditions are linked in the description down below. Sony Alpha Rumors released a video stating that the Nikon ZF will be announced on September the 20th in just a few weeks for a price of 2,500 euros. So what's the price in US dollars? Well, rumors are saying that it's going to be around $2,000, and when I hear around $2,000, I think 1998. But with a price in euros of 2,500, that would mean that this camera would most likely cost several $100s more than that at around $21.99 or $22.99. And if we take a look at the Sony a7C II, which was recently announced for $21.99 in the United States, we have a price in Germany of $23.99. So we're separated by about 200 units. So that would mean the price of the Nikon ZF full-frame mirrorless camera, retro-looking camera, to come in right around $21.99 or $22.99. At this point, I would just kind of have a rough price point, let's say a Class B estimate of somewhere around $19.98 to $22.98. So does that translate to value for a retro-styled, cool-looking camera? Well, that means we have to go a little bit behind the scenes of these leaked images of the Nikon ZF, and take a look at the leaked specifications. The sensor for the Nikon ZF is going to be 24.4 megapixels, full frame, and it's backside illuminated. And in this price point of somewhere, let's just say between $2,000 and $2,300, or even going up to $2,500, we've got a lot of full frame cameras, Canon EOS R6 Mark II, that don't even have a backside illuminated sensor at this price point. So I think that's a big deal, because what a backside illuminated sensor does, with the outcomes you get from it, is low noise, better dynamic range, and I think that's overall a good thing, and of course better color rendition. Now in terms of image processor, it's supposed to have the X-Speed 7 image processor, and the ISO range between 100 and 64,000, so a little bit higher than the Nikon Z6 Mark II. And in terms of frames per second, well, we don't know what it's going to be with RAW, but the camera, according to the latest leaked specifications, are saying up to 30 frames per second. That's JPEG and HEIF. Now, if you're shooting RAW, I'd expect it to be considerably slower. And that this camera has dual SD card slots, one micro and one standard size. That tells me that if we're going to be shooting RAW, we're not going to be able to get nearly as much as 30 frames per second. I'm not sure exactly where that's going to be, whether it's going to be around 8, 10, or 12 frames per second RAW. We'll just have to wait and see. As far as the video specifications go for the Nikon ZF, well, it can do 4K up to 60 frames per second. 4K 24, 25, and 30 frames per second is full sensor readout uncropped, whereas 4K 50 and 60 frames per second, it does have a crop. Now, if we drop down to 1080 or 1920 by 1080 full HD, well, you're able to shoot up to 120 frames per second. And you are able to shoot with Nikon Log, H.265 with Nikon Log, HDR, and what's the other one? SDR. So pretty decent video specifications, although that you're going to be limited to SD card slots. If you're looking at shooting rather long videos, such as this one here, which could be 15 minutes, or if you're shooting even longer videos, just be aware that if you're shooting 4K 60, 4K 30, it's going to take quite a bit of time to actually offload the content. As far as recording to an SD card slot, not a problem, but as far as offloading, it is going to take a bit of time. The Nikon ZF will have the exact same LCD and EVF found in the Nikon Z6 Mark II. Same resolution, 3.6 million dots for the EVF, and a 3.2-inch LCD with 2.1 million dots. The autofocus system is improved with 273 autofocus points, but one of the things that I'm happy to report on is that it's going to have some capabilities found in the Nikon Z8 and Nikon Z9, although we're not told exactly what they are, but it's definitely going to be an improvement in terms of its output, its enhancements, its capabilities over the Nikon Z6 Mark II. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to have dual card slots, with one of them being an SD card slot, and the other one being, Yeah, a micro SD card slot. Now, if these turn out to be true, we're not getting a CF Express Type B, so I would kind of expect the price in US dollars to be closer to $2,000 rather than closer to $2,500. It's going to have both a mechanical and electronic shutter, and the shell of the camera, it's going to be a magnesium alloy. And in terms of the dimensions, well, it's going to weigh 700 grams, but in terms of dimensions here, 144 by 101 by 57 millimeters. So 700 grams, that's kind of in the keeping with most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras over the last 10 years at that APS-C price point or entry-level full frame. So 700 grams is, you know, not that heavy, not that light, and you know, if you're going to be strapping on any decent lenses, the weight of the body really isn't going to matter that much. Now, you might have noticed that at the bottom for much of this video, while I've been talking about specifications, I've had smart pre-order links here. Now, these links won't be activated until the embargo is lifted on September the 20th. And while we know the date, we don't know the time at this point. And I will be doing a live stream to cover the announcement 1 hour before. I'll cover the announcements and then hopefully have somebody who's experienced this camera and can talk about it firsthand. But these smart pre-order links, what they're designed to do is show you every single option available from the body alone, a body with a kit package from Nikon, as well as what Adorama, Amazon, and B&H might put together, because sometimes these guys will say, okay, let's get some extra batteries, we'll get some memory cards, we'll get even, you know, something to clean the sensor with, clean dust off, all sorts of things, a camera bag, and put together a package that's good for starters. Then they'll have another package with maybe just an extra battery or something like that. So what these smart pre-order links do is, for Adorama, B&H, and Amazon, what they're going to do is list off exactly all the packages available. So on the day of, you can very quickly see all of them. You can go ahead and pre-order before anybody else. So basically, you can get into the queue before anybody else, get prioritized. So go ahead and bookmark these, put them in your browser, and so that way on the day of, you'll be one of the first to pre-order the Nikon ZF. But I do want a little bit of a reality check here. These are leaked specifications and leaked images. Until we actually have the announcement on the day of, we can't really assume that these are correct. I think, based on what Nikon rumors and Sony Alpha rumors are saying about this camera, that it looks pretty good, that these specifications, the memory cards, a micro SD and a standard SD card slot, that is something I haven't seen done before, so I'd like to wait for validation on that. What about images? 30 frames per second JPEG and HEIF, but what about RAW? What about some of the other limitations? But otherwise, I mean, it does look like a pretty solid camera, and having a backside illuminated sensor I think is a huge deal because at 24.4 megapixels, we don't need that stacked aspect, but in terms of getting better low light performance, less noise, better color rendition, dynamic range, all that stuff, I think it's a big deal, a definite improvement over some of the other cameras in that same price point between $1998 and $23.99. And again, I'm going to do a live stream on September the 20th. I don't know what time it's going to be because at this point, well, we don't have a time. We don't have an event scheduled by Nikon. All we have is something from Sony Alpha Rumors saying, hey, we have something on September the 20th. And that's right within the time frame of Nikon Rumors and Sony Alpha Rumors. Now, initially, Sony Alpha Rumors had said it was going to be early on, as did Nikon Rumors, and then things changed. And that certainly makes sense. I don't expect any camera announcements this week, but starting next week, this is when things start to heat up for the fall semester. So things are going to start to get busy. September the 20th, we're going to have other announcements this fall. I'm getting pretty excited. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera gear, news, and rumors, then please go ahead and subscribe. It helps this channel grow, but it also helps keep you informed. And also choose all notifications. Now, for all those minor news stories, news rumor stories, or pricing information, then go ahead and follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, because I'm constantly tweeting out information. And sometimes I actually get news of information that's going to be announced within hours to minutes before it, and I'll tweet that out. Over the last couple of weeks, we've gotten various lenses, Sigma lenses, and if you're waiting for some of those products where they're in, well, short supply, follow me on Twitter so that way you can know when it's coming up for anybody else, so you can pre-order before anybody else, and of course, have it before anybody else. But that's it for now. Have yourself a great week. I can't believe it's already Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. I do greatly appreciate you patronizing this channel, watching, commenting, and all that stuff. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon. It's going to have a magnesium alloy. It's going to have a magnesium alloy body. It's going to have a magnesium alloy body. It's going to have a magnesium alloy body.